All right, so welcome to my top 10 favorite or best movies of 2023. I guess they're my favorite movies of 2023 because my list will be a bit different from other people's, but you can trust me that I'm going to be very honest with the way that I feel. We're going to be going over not even just my top 10 favorites of this year, but also I'm going to throw in a bonus 5, so it'll actually be a top 15 best movies of 2023. Before I get into the list, though, I want to tell you there are some movies that I have not seen yet. I haven't had enough time to watch that I would probably put on the list whenever I have time to watch them, but I haven't watched them. I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't had time. I missed them for various different reasons. First of all, Barbie. Haven't had a chance to see Barbie yet. I heard mixed things, but mostly positive stuff. I wanted to see it for myself. Haven't got a chance to when it was in theaters. I had other stuff going on, so I didn't get to see it. Ari Aster's Beau is Afraid. I love Hereditary. I love him as a filmmaker. I was going to watch this movie today, but it's 3 hours long. And I was exhausted from watching Killers of the Flower Moon, which is also 3 hours long, over 3 hours. So I chose not to watch it today. I wanted to do this video instead. So that may end up, retroactively making the list later on, but I'm not going to redo the video or anything. Also, Mission Impossible. Did not get to see it because I haven't seen the other three Mission Impossibles, 4, 5, and 6. Have not seen those yet. So I'm not gonna see 7 if I don't see 4, 5, and 6. Also, Good Burger 2, The Holdovers, and Past Lives. I've heard bad things about Good Burger 2, but good things about The Holdovers and Past Lives. So I'll probably be watching those sometime in 2024. I just didn't get around to it. So let's go ahead and discuss the top 15 best movies of 2023. And we're going to be counting up from the worst to the best, even though it's not the worst isn't even bad. Number 15 is going to be a controversial pick, but I feel it belongs here, and that is Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was fun. Was it kind of very similar to the Miss Marvel show? Yeah. Did it not do well? DC hasn't been doing so well this year. In fact, they've done horribly. But I liked Blue Beetle. I liked the Latin influence. I liked the family aspect. I liked the story. The characters were all lovable. So Blue Beetle to me made the list at number 15. Number 14, Fast and Furious 10. I actually had a good time with it. A really good time with it. I felt like, 8 was 9 was, I enjoyed 8 more than 7, but 9 was a piece of garbage. And Hobbs and Shaw was what it was. But I had a good time with Fast 10, man. It gave me what I wanted. It's the definition of a popcorn movie. Number 13, Turtles TMNT Mutant Mayhem. It's not quite Spider-Verse. That's higher on the list. But if we get more movies in this style, I would love it. I love the creative directing. I love what Seth Rogen did with the Turtles. He made them behave more like teenagers than they ever have before. I enjoyed the story they told. There are some things I probably wouldn't have done, but it made me laugh. It popped me. It had enough moments that I had a good time with. So that's my number 13. My number 12 is The Flash. Yes, I know it flopped. Yes, I know the CGI was not great. And yes, I know Ezra Miller has done some pretty terrible things. If you remove the art from the artist, Ezra Miller did a phenomenal job with this movie, conveying emotion, playing two different versions of the Flash from two different timelines. Michael Keaton coming back to don the cape and cowl was a big reason as to why I enjoyed it so much, because I have a strong connection with Batman 89. And I feel like that'll change your opinion on this movie if you really do love that Batman. And the scene near the end where the Flash steps into the DC multiverse is something I never thought I would ever see in cinema, and I loved it very much. It was powerful. It was emotional. I really liked The Flash, dude. I'm sorry. I know it flopped, but I liked it. I'm not going to bullshit you. I liked the movie. I think that had they stuck with the original ending before they changed over to James Gunn, which was having Michael Keaton show up in the present time with Supergirl, instead of it being George Clooney as a joke and having him lose his tooth, I think had they stuck with the original ending, it would have been much better. The George Clooney thing was really just, I saw it and I rolled my eyes. It almost killed the movie for me. So that was a mistake. Hopefully that won't ever happen again, but I did like the film. I really did. And then number 11, this is a bit controversial. It did not make the top 10, and some of y'all aren't going to like it, but like I said, I'm going to be honest with you. Number 11 is Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it's a phenomenally strong story based on a 2017 novel, based on a true story. I think Scorsese, as far as being a filmmaker goes, I mean, the guy's got a Hall of Fame career if there ever was one, right? And DiCaprio and De Niro, once again, are, battling for greatest Martin Scorsese collaborator of all time because they're both up there, the number one and 1A, I would say. But God, the second half of the movie was just really, really good. The first half I thought was very slow. It was all build up. The second half, though, really gripped me and left me on the edge of my seat. But it did not make the top 10. That means there were 10 movies that came out this year that I enjoyed more. And we're going to get to those right now. Number 10 is Talk to Me. This, to me, was my favorite horror movie of the year. I enjoyed it more than The Nun 2. I enjoyed it more than Insidious 5. And I think those two might have been the most mainstream horror movies of the year. Talk to Me took an old school idea, gave a new twist to it, and had some truly horrifying scenes, some really disturbing stuff in this movie. They pushed it, but it wasn't so over the top where I thought it was, too cheesy or trying too hard. I thought the performances were phenomenal. I thought it was legitimately creepy. The concept of it is great. If you have to see one horror movie from 2023, see Talk to Me. Trust me when I tell you, even if you don't think it's as good as I do, you're not going to dislike it because it's really, really good. Number 9, we're going to go to Japan. Shin Kamen Rider, Hideaki Anno's newest reinvention, revisioning of a classic 70s Japanese icon, Kamen Rider, brought to the 2023 with fresh eyes. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I love Hideaki Anno's take on tokusatsu, love Shin Gojira, and obviously I would love him to do more of these types of Shin movies. Shin Kamen Rider did enough, pleasing of the old fans while not going too far with it, while also giving us a new story, a creative story, and some great fight scenes. I mean, Shin Kamen Rider, I think, is going to be slept on by most people outside of, I guess outside of internet circles because it didn't really have a wide release. But if you haven't seen it yet, man, go out of your way. It's good. Number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Some of you guys are going to have this in your top 3, and I get it. It was a phenomenal movie, very emotional. James Gunn's swan song from the MCU, at least for the time being, probably for a long time, told a tremendously powerful story, both with Peter as well as with Rocket. Rocket's backstory had a whole Don Bluth kind of vibe to it. Very emotional film. And a great send-off for these characters. They didn't do what I was worried they were going to do and keep it cliche. They actually made it a bit more powerful by not doing... See, I thought they were going to kill everybody off. They didn't do that. And it actually made it more powerful by them not doing it. Because it becomes more of a mystery of where they took their lives. And that, to me, kind of leaves us wondering after the movie ended. But Guardians Volume 3 is the best Marvel movie of the year. From the MCU. From the MCU. We're not done with Marvel yet on this list, as you know, as I'm sure you figured out by now. Number 7, the Super Mario Brothers movie. My God, did I have fun with this one. This is one that could have been really easy to mess up, but they got it right. The animation was superb. I actually want to give props to all of the actors that did a great job. Jack Black was phenomenal as Bowser. Chris Pratt as Mario nailed it. There were so many little Easter eggs to video games. Every character was done pretty right. I mean, they could have done more with some of the characters, but it was a fun film, both for fans and non-fans of the franchise, and it was surprisingly really, really good. It was better than I thought it was going to be, and it got high on the list because when I think about this movie, I smile, and that's a good thing. That is the way that a film should make you feel. Now, number 6 on the list is going to be controversial because I have a feeling a lot of people didn't watch this movie, and I have a feeling it might not connect with everybody, but this one connected with me, and it's pretty high on the list, and you'll understand why if you saw it. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I love this movie, and I'm not ashamed to say it. It's the best Transformers movie we've ever gotten. The human characters, 2 Hispanics from New York. Movie takes place in the early 90s. The hip-hop And the soundtrack, hearing Wu-Tang Clan and Biggie and Diggable Planets and all these tremendous like 90s hip hop acts, Nas, I recognize all these songs. The story was great. The characters were phenomenal. I love what they did with, RC. I love what they did with everyone. It was and the effects. This is one of the only Transformers movies where it's not 10 million things going on screen, where you can actually see the transformation. You can see the fights going on. It's easy to watch, and I had such a good time with this movie. This movie rocks, and no one's talking about it. I fucking love it. It's because, you know why? It's because Transformers has been trash for so long with Michael Bay and all that garbage, and then Bumblebee comes along and it's good, and then this one comes along and rocked my socks off, bro. I love Transformers Rise of the Beast. If you haven't seen it yet, yo, it is worth seeing. And I wasn't even that big of a Beast Wars fan. I really wasn't. I watched it. But this thing, they showed a lot of respect. Love this film. Now we're in the top 5, folks. My top 5 favorite movies of 2023. Number 5, John Wick 4. I had to re-record this video because I forgot about John Wick 4. And then I remembered, wait a minute, I love that movie. John Wick 4 to me is my favorite John Wick movie since the first one. I thought that besides it just being insane over-the-top action, the cameos were fun. The adventure story was fun, following John Wick, trying to figure out what's going on with the hotel and everything. It was a blast. It's not for everyone, I understand that. And it's, we've talked about these kinds of movies where human beings do things that they should not survive. That was a big problem in John Wick 2 and 3 and even in this one, but I guess by now I just accepted it and kind of fell into the universe, and I enjoyed it. It really does feel like a video game, but it was a ton of fun. And I see this movie being on a lot of people's lists, man. I really do. Don't forget about John Wick 4. Now, number 4 on the list, Creed 3. There's a few reasons to why I put this at number 4. First of all, phenomenally made movie. It was Michael B. Jordan's first time ever directing. Second of all, performance-wise, like him or not, Jonathan Majors is incredible. Incredible as Dame. And the backstory that we find out, the connection between Dame and Donnie when they were kids, was really well done. Just when you think this series, we're 9 movies deep into the Rocky films, you would think that by now they'd be out of ideas, and boom, they come up with a new movie. They put the character Creed in a different situation than he's been in before. They introduce a new element that's realistic. A lot of folks were even agreeing, and maybe not agreeing, but understanding Dame's perspective on this. He made a lot of good points. And, the fact that he's kind of cheating and playing dirty, we're seeing some new stuff that we hadn't seen in previous Rocky/Creed movies. Yes, it's the first one without Sylvester Stallone, but it was so good. And how many franchises can you honestly say we've gotten to the 9th movie, and the 9th movie is that damn good? You sure as hell can't say that about Fast and Furious 9, that piece of garbage 9th movie, but Creed 3... phenomenal piece of work. And the anime influences, the creativity and the directing, it's a phenomenal work for this year. Now we are in the top 3. I want to tell you that when it comes to the top 3, number 2 and number 3 are kind of tied for number 2, but I did not want to do that to y'all. Originally there was going to be a tie for number 2 because they're so close as far as how I feel about them, but and again, you can go either way. They're both phenomenal movies that you need to go out of your way to see. So number 3 on the list, which is going to be number 1 on a lot of people's list, but it's number 3 on mine, is Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan's 3-hour epic historical war film. Well, no, it's not really a war film, although it's got war in it. But the bio story, the biopic of Robert Oppenheimer and the creation of the atomic bomb. This movie was an event this year. This movie did things that you never thought were possible in 2023. Riveting story, tremendous performances from Robert Downey Jr. and others. Even the cameo actors did great. You know, there were so many little cameos in the movie of actors I wasn't even expecting to see in this one. No CGI effects for 3 hours, man. That's impressive. How many movies that are mainstream films, not Netflix films or indie films, mainstream films can be made with no CGI? Damn, bro, damn. And one of the things about this movie is I noticed that Nolan, with his films, often tries to tell a message, even though sometimes that message is not the best. It could be kind of dumb at times, but this movie's probably his most powerful as far as messages go because this whole film, the whole story of Robert Oppenheimer was able to do with the atomic bomb. You know, now that we have access to nuclear power, the whole, nuclear weapons, the whole message here is, did we create the instrument of our own destruction? Did Robert Oppenheimer, to win a war, create a weapon that is so powerful that it could end up someday leading to the end of humanity on Earth? That's terrifying. That is, I mean, I said Talk to Me is the best horror movie of the year, but Oppenheimer, I'm not going to say it's a horror movie, but it's horrific. It's in many ways more horrific than Talk to Me because Talk to Me is fiction. Oppenheimer is not fiction necessarily. It's based on a true event, and the atomic bomb and nuclear weapons are real. So, especially with the geopolitical climate going on right now in the world and things happening across the oceans, I don't know, man. This movie hit at a certain time and it connected with a lot of people, and it's scary to think about. But I predict this movie's gonna win a bunch of awards and be the most celebrated film of the year. It's my number three, so I feel strongly about it, and it was well done. What could be my number two? My number two is, and maybe you figured out already, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Why did I put this above Oppenheimer? It's tough. Sometimes it's not above Oppenheimer, but this movie was a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, a film that a lot of folks considered perfect. I didn't, but I do like it a lot. It not only took that movie and expounded on it, it gave us more characters that we like, more lovable stories and characters, like I mentioned, more great storytelling, some great cliffhanger moments. The animation and directing style, sort of the creativity around that, is tremendous. I mean, it's just, they did so many things here. There were so many. It's a movie that you can go back and watch over and over and over again and pick up on new things every time. Stuff in the background. You've got characters that are just, I mentioned this already, but I want to go a bit deeper in it, that are just so well written. Miguel as Spider-Man 2099, very well written character, very understandable character. You've got the situation going on, after the first film, and how, Miles is dealing with that, and the Gwen storyline, and, is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? Is there a way around this? Like, the movie really continued this universe so well, and I cannot wait for the third one. It is my second favorite movie of the year, and it was my number one until I saw my number one. Should not surprise you by now. Godzilla minus one. Not only is this the best movie of the year, I think it's the best movie in several years, and I feel very strongly about it. I've never had a movie in my entire life move me the way that this film did. Never. I was a complete wreck after seeing this movie. This is the only movie that I've ever seen 3 times in the movie theater within a week. I could not get enough of Godzilla minus one. I've already praised it I don't know how many times. This movie dug itself into my soul. These characters almost became like family to me, and it's very hard to make a film like this. There are a few out there. There are a few. Not many, though. Let's think about that. Not many. This movie is so good, it may end up in my top 15 all-time list. Like, it is so damn powerful. I love this film. It's almost a perfect movie. Takashi Yamazaki, it's the best Godzilla. It's the best monster movie of all time. And you know what? I take it back. Talk to Me's not the best horror movie. Godzilla minus one is, because yes, it does count as horror because it's a monster, and let's not forget that the scene in the Ginza scene, we'll call it the Ginza scene in Godzilla minus one, guys, was the scariest thing I've ever seen in a movie theater ever. Like, I was horrified, and that's good. That is good. This movie made me feel every emotion you can feel: happiness, sadness, anger. It was the first time I actually wanted Godzilla to lose. I just can't say anything. What else can I say? I've made like 10 videos about this fucking thing. Not only is it the best movie of the year, but we are blessed to have this movie exist in our time. It came along at the right time in my life, anyways. Maybe when I was, if I saw it when I was 25 or 19, it'd be different. But the fact that I am in my late 30s and I've been through some shit, and I've thought about what Koichi's thought about, the guilt, the confusion. All I've been there already. Like, this movie connected with me, and it's a phenomenal movie, best movie of the year. And honestly, not only is it the best movie of the year, it's beyond, like, I love the other movies on this list, but this one's way above Spider-Verse and way above Oppenheimer. And some of y'all might not agree with that, but that's how I feel. Told you I'm not gonna bullshit you. That's my list. Let me know your top 10, top 15 down below. Have a great one. I'll see you in 2024. Well, I'll have more videos coming out probably the next couple days, like my review for the AEW pay-per-view this Saturday. I'll have that up. But in the meantime, take care.